One genre that seems to be extinct nowadays is vehicular combat. Back in the 90s, these type of games were everywhere. Some notable titles include Villigan 8, Interstate 76 and its sequel, Twisted Metal, and many others. Now, one game that many people seem to remember, mainly for its blood and gore, was Carmageddon. The game generated much controversy. A few years later, its sequel, Carmageddon 2 Carpocalypse Now, was made in order to capitalize on the success of the original. Carmageddon 2 was released in 1998 and developed by Stainless Steel Games and published by Sales Curve Interactive. While this game is mainly noted by its blood and gore, is there a worthwhile game under all this bloody mess? We'll take a look at it as we analyze the graphics, audio, and of course, the gameplay. Let's start off with the graphics, and since this game was made in 1998, those are the standards that we will be using. For the graphics, the game looks pretty good, especially for the time. The car models have a lot of detail on it. Instead of the car just being one single block or one single model, it contains many different models on top of the car, making it really feel realistic and three-dimensional. Probably the best thing about this game graphically is when you repair your car, you see it mold and mesh back into its original form, and it looks really good seeing your car turn back to how it was original. The game is visually satisfying, especially when running over people and destroying other cars. It looks and feels amazing. Graphically, there are very little negatives and a lot of positives, so that's why my final score is a 9 out of 10 for graphics. As stated before, the game is just aesthetically pleasing. If this game was based on graphics alone, it would definitely be considered one of the best. The audio portion of this game is also done very well. The sound of your car hitting another car, the sound of explosions, the sound of you running over pedestrians, it all just sounds satisfying. It makes the game both pleasing for your eyes as well as for your ears. Now, the soundtrack could be on its own category for itself. The soundtrack consists of two bands, Sentinence and the legendary band Iron Maiden, who sound great in this game. While some of the sound effects do sound a little stocky, the music is great and the rest of the sound effects are very satisfying, which gives this a 9 out of 10 for audio. I think it's just best if I just play you out on some good music, so here you go. Now on to the gameplay, and honestly, the tone of this review is about to change. Let's start off with the driving model, which I personally feel is absolutely horrendous. I never feel like I'm in control, and I always feel like I'm just one slip away from just going off the end and ending up in the water. So when you play Carmageddon, there's 3 ways to win. You can kill all the pedestrians, which takes way too long, so you're not gonna do this. Destroy all cars, which you're probably gonna do the most. And to complete the race going through the checkpoints, which you'll probably never do. I'm not gonna lie though, I have completed the checkpoints a few times just to test out the driving model, but it's just more frustrating than fun to actually complete the race. All the fun is supposed to be had in destroying your opponents. And at first I thought, oh, it's just because it's the first car of the game, so that's why it's moving around like that. But nope. I've tried many different cars and they all have the same problem of just skidding all over the place as soon as you turn. The drift mechanic is horrible too. And by the way, if you do have a good car, which there are 1 or 2 that are really good at driving, they suck. They're terrible, they can't take a hit, and they get destroyed easily by the opponents. So we all know the racing sucks, but how about the combat? Honestly, it's very satisfying and I love destroying the opponents. While there aren't really a crazy amount of weapons such as Villigan 8, Interstate 76 and a few other games, this focuses more on ramming and using the very small power-ups that you will obtain. The physics in this game are kind of floaty, so for that it opens a big possibility of crazy ways to destroy somebody. While it does allow you to do some crazy things, the physics gets on my nerves a lot. Some cars are very hard to hit, like the one I'm going to hit right now, because since it's such a straight car, I end up hitting under it instead of hitting it straight on. But honestly, going airborne is the #1 pet peeve I have with this game, hands down. Because everything is so freaking floaty, you'll hit a little bump off a road and you'll be airborne for like 6 seconds. I understand it's archaic physics, but it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't excuse that the physics engine just gets on my nerves 90% of the time. So what's up with the power-ups? Well, there's a crap ton of them. Some of them give you weapons to try out, others change the physics of the game, others make it easier for you to destroy peasants, others makes these pedestrians more likely to kill themselves. All in all, there are some interesting power-ups, but there's a lot of ones I can't stand, such as moon physics, pinball mode where you're flying all over the place. Some of these power-ups are kind of funny, like some have it makes the pedestrians have big heads, it makes the pedestrians dance, so on and so forth. It adds a little charm to the game, but it's more than just about atmosphere when you're making a game. Your goal in the game is to beat each set of races. Each set contains 3 races and a mission. The races are your standard fare as you see here, but I'll get on to the missions in a bit. So as you complete tasks in the game such as running over pedestrians, destroying cars, so on and so forth, you'll get credits. Now these credits are used for a bunch of things, but mainly they're used to upgrade your car and buy vehicles. Now if you see on the top, those are the 3 things you can upgrade: your armor, your engine, and your offensive damage. Buying the upgrades isn't hard, all you have to do is press a certain button on your keyboard. What's really annoying, however, is that you only are given a certain number of slots to begin with. Now, you would think, oh, all you have to do is just buy extra slots. Nope, this makes the upgrading system so convoluted. The only way to get more slots is to find blue pieces inside the races, but they're in the worst spots possible. You'll never even look here, and they're hard to reach as well. So how do you buy cars? Well, after a race, if you've destroyed the car, you're given a chance to purchase it. What sucks though is that you really don't know how good the car is unless you try it out yourself. So a car can be very expensive, but can also be very bad as well. So here we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the cream of the crap, the missions. These missions showcase the worst of Carmageddon, and this is only the second mission too, mind you. There's still 8 more missions to go after this one. Everything wrong with Carmageddon 2 is showcased in here. Bad racing model, bad physics, bad controls. Now each mission has you doing something different, whether it be collecting stuff, going through checkpoints, or destroying certain objects. This one I have to destroy the satellite dishes, but this is much easier said than done. First of all, you have to hop through roof to roof, and given the physics, that means you have to have a car that's fast, but not too fast or you're going to overshoot it, and you'll need a car that's somewhat powerful. And while I picked this one as the best choice, it didn't seem like that. If you use a car that's too small, you're going to fly when you hit the satellites, and if you get a car that's too big, you're not going to make the jumps. And these jumps are easily the worst part about this mission. I'm always either undershooting or overshooting. You have to be at just the right speed. And knowing the bad physics, the bad controls, and the bad racing model, this is difficult as all hell. These missions single-handedly made me stop playing the game forever. I'm done. And that's why, with all due respect, the gameplay gets a 4 out of 10. There are just so many better games out there than this one. For my closing thoughts, I'd have to say that this game excels in presentation. The controversial nature of the time really made a lot of people play the game and make this game stand out. However, it's just not a good game. Without its presentation values and production values, this game would literally be pure crap. And that's why my final score is a 6 out of 10. It's slightly above average just based on its production values alone. Heck, if you're looking for vehicular combat done right, play Twisted Metal, Interstate 76, Vigilant 8, Blur, and there's just a bunch more that I can list that I'd rather play besides this game. I'd say play it, but don't play it too much. This is Pow3rh0use, signing off.